Stars Are Rising. This is Coach T. And this is a real hard podcast for me to do. It's been really, really hard. And since we've moved, yeah, my other daughter Hazel and my grandbaby Nubian have moved and we're safer. We've been able to heal from, or at least just let it process, the death of Prosperity. Lorraine Adams. And this was written a long time ago, I think like last month. And if you guys don't know, I don't know if I talked about it, I changed my channel a little bit. But Prosperity came to me when, go ahead, Mavian. They don't like it when I cry. When cry, they movie, especially. Prosperity came to me at a time when I was trying to cut out. I didn't want to be here anymore because I realized that the more I grew, the more hated I would be. I was in my 30s, having graduated with a BA in script writing and moved on to my master's in film and television. And it didn't end up working. It didn't end up, I had 1 year and I was struggling because I mean, it was about politics, it was about racism, it was about sexism, it was about anti-Christ stuff. And I couldn't believe, and it was so traumatizing. I had already been traumatized getting my BA at the Evergreen State College, and then later come to find out that it wasn't going to transfer. Most of those credits would not transfer to a regular college, and so, yeah, you know. But I was still trying, and I would actually participated in some helping to produce, provide equipment for other people's films in the local, in the area, and got screwed there. It was not a nice experience. And I've who have always wanted to make money off of my creativity, and I had hit a point to where it's like, I was in Sacramento during a time where you couldn't. People had changed up, and then I would later find out why when I became the target of decades long of a couple decades, I almost of gang stalking. And so you couldn't get a job, and that was part of it. So they had a system in place in Sacramento's underground, and which was often described, and got a few news clips off of this, was often described as a city within a city that people didn't even know about, and it was because of the Latino gangs that were there spearheading it. Uh, and so the way that they did it when people moved there, they like to have that shock value that suddenly you couldn't get a job. I said to myself, I was like, I have never had, the only time that I did not have a job because I had credentials, so I had a good resume, so the only time that I would not get a job is if I didn't want to. Sometimes it would take me 6 months, and that was just because I was coasting, I was being picky. Not here. When people found out that you weren't on the list, right? You weren't on uh I don't even know what you would call it, but when people found out that you weren't on the list, that you had not been vetted in as a target or as a worker, I think I could put it, then you didn't get a job. But again, so my life, and I was doing candles, and I was on receiving SSI and disability, and, by myself, and I was dealing with gang stalking. I was just, I couldn't, I was like, I don't want to be here anymore because I don't see, I got these the natural divine gifts. I know that I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just living my life. Am I perfect? No. But I mean, we're all fall short because what? We're not God. We are gods. We're little gods, but we're not God. And so I was battling, like, for the first time in my life, I was really struggling with staying alive. And I don't know what I remembered having. I was just laying down, and I don't even know if it was my thought looking back, but I just remember feeling that it would be nice to have a an animal, a pet. And I don't know how much time passed, but I was talking to a fellow craft fair vendor, and here comes this beautiful baby who's kicked out, pushed out. Like, all of a sudden I'm in the kitchen and I'm talking to my vendor friend. She makes soaps. Shout out to Soapery. She makes soaps, and we were talking, and she was really a support with me. Because I was always also involved in a fit club and doing toxic positivity. Because if you weren't positive, boy, they were on you and they isolated you. And I would later find out, a lot of stuff, boy, I tell you. But um, so anyway, I'm talking to her. I'm in my kitchen and whatever, and I can feel kind of like a somebody, like, I moved. My face is literally moved in the direction to see this black SUV, and it stopped abruptly. It had a black female, skinny black female in the driver's seat. She gets out. She takes she takes the dog out. She pushes the dog out. And this is this big-eyed, big-nosed, and that's what I noticed about her. It just like this big, big ball of snuggle, right? She's a blockhead, white head, dark gray coat patches, and white, and whatever. And, you know, big ears. And I don't know what the hell happened, but she pushed her out. And then when she tried to speed off, she almost hit her with the fender, I guess you would call it, the bumper, the main, the front of the vehicle. And she barely missed it because Prosperity, at before I named her, but she didn't know what was going on. She was so confused. She was absolutely confused. Like, I felt her emotion so deeply, and I'm sitting there watching her, and I'm not talking to my friend, and my friend's talking to me, and but I tuned back in, and I'm like, yeah, somebody just, da 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 da, and dumped this baby out here, and I'm gonna go see whatever, I go and see, and I try and cook, because she's disappointed. She's like, you can see, like, her mouth, she just drops, and she's like, what happened? Why are you abandoning me? You know? And I think that's kind of like what I felt, um, at the time. Because with all the gang stalking and not know, you know what I mean, and not getting any help, all the prayers in the world weren't helping me you know, um, uh, from the choices that other people were making, you know? And so I go out there, and I'm trying to get her, and I'm determined to get her, and because I know where I'm at. And I knew the evil. I just hadn't put a term on it, but I could feel it, that I was in. Okay? So eventually got her, and she hated people. Like, when she looked at me, she gave me the look. And it wasn't. She was so emotional. She was so emotional about what happened to her. It took me 2 weeks for her to trust me, and I often think is I will never, I will never get another pet again. Ever, 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 ever. Because I saw in her, she was so loving and so curious, so adventurous, more than me. Like I had to stretch myself, and it was fun. And she was my daughter. I remember the first time she hurt herself at the dog park and her toenail ripped off. And the park that we were in had a pet thing, and I picked her up. I was like, "Oh my god," because I was told that if, when I was younger, when I was a kid, uh, I don't know how I heard it or who I heard it from. I don't remember, but it stuck with me, and I heard that uh if they if the toenail was ripped off, that they would die, and I was so scared. And next in the park, off of Bradshaw, and there was the place, the place where you could adopt uh pups, and took him, and it's like, oh no, she's okay, she's okay, and I'm so grateful that I had money saved up, you know to be able to take care of her, and she got her little foot done, and it was okay. And I mean, I took her to my fit clubs. I took her everywhere. I was so upset when I couldn't take her into like grocery stores. This was before they became more accepting of, fur baby pet owners, pet parents, and whatever. Um, it's been a struggle. It's been a struggle remembering her because where I was at when I was in San Diego, her passing was not an accident. It was witchcraft. And whether on me or on her. And the thing that I'm remembering so much is when a guy forced a picture on her. And he had been in an apartment because we were homeless and we had just gotten off the streets and we were in a hotel. And oh my God, the gang stalkers were so mad because I was starting to talk and I was being believable. So they had to cut off that energetic connection between me and the Most High and rising from the ashes and in triumph. And it wasn't the first time that they had attacked prosperity. Uh, it wouldn't be the last. And one thing I've noticed uh with people, whether they're gang stalkers or not, they're still a cluster B personality and they're extremely obsessive. And they won't stop. I have a guy who's trying to give me a beard because he attacks black women. It's a black male. And he's also trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. He's also a pedophile. He's on Megan's Law. And where I was staying at the Peachtree Inn in San Diego, downtown, off Ninth Street with Saul Salas. He likes to say his name. And he created an environment where he being a cluster B demon could grow and flourish. And so having somebody like me who came in and I was just excited because I had spent I mean, if you could believe it, I spent a night on the street, thankfully at the park. uh I'd worked that day, and that night I was going to be at that park, and it was by water, and I didn't know what to do. Had to go get housing, and it was just by the grace of God, like literally by the grace of God, my angels were guiding me and to making me attuned to different suggestions at the right time. And I got into the peach tree, and I think because yeah, it was really I got into no. Before I got into the peach tree, I got into a woman's battered women's shelter because I definitely qualified. Because even though I had dealt with gang stalking, uh, in Washington State is where it started. It culminated in Sacramento, and faded out in San Diego. So the whole West Coast. Uh, I mean, I did a little stint in Oregon too, but not for very long. But um, so I stayed there, I believe, for about 19 days. And I got in and I couldn't work. That was the whole thing. I couldn't work, so I lost my job, um, and had to go get, but I was still active, where I could, uh, uh, go and I couldn't leave the girls. But when I got into my housing, then I could leave them, and got a job right away. I had a guard card. Guard card, you could do anything from any state, or whatever. I mean, but some of the guard card doesn't transfer, into states sometimes. So, but anyway, um, you know, so they had been attacking her, and I forgot where I left, why I was saying that. You guys, I'm sorry. Because what threw me off was knowing what happened to her, that I could not stop. Uh, let me rephrase that. I could not stop it from taking place. It was, you know what I mean? So my baby was sexually assaulted by a guy who, we were walking, and I had a bad feeling, and I was looking around, and I didn't know, what. And I was trying, because Prosperity, she she at least the other girls were weary too. We were all weary because we had had this full life. Because when she came into my life, I was doing the craft fairs. I adopted Hazel, um and Lala, and I had a cat named Egypt, who had a brother named Imhotep, and they took him. I mean, they brought, I mean, like, literally, they broke into my house and let him out on the third floor. And they came in through the roof, and then acted like I was crazy, because I knew, you know what I mean? So it's like, a lot of us who are seers and empaths, and we can see the imprints, and we can see the residue, and we can feel the energy, and analyze it. Allah doesn't stop them from calling us crazy, right? Unless it's going to benefit them in some way, shape, or form, because our enemies use seers too, you know? So anyway, this guy, so I'm looking around, here he comes, right? Because when you're dealing with demons, it's a no-brainer. It doesn't matter whether you're a cluster B, I mean, but this guy was a sexual predator. And what he did to Prosperity, that I was able to cut off right away. Like, because she started jerking, and not like how dogs will jerk because they're dreaming and they'll go woof woof. No, she was jerking, and with her eyes open, as if all of a sudden she was pulled. This motherfucker had a fetish for dogs. Big black male, bald headed. I had gotten Lala, Gaudy Pit, rescued her from his daughter. Very sick, demonic, toxic family. And as you can tell, I am still upset about it, because I confronted him Like I said, had to die to everything, and I had to die to people thinking I'm crazy for bringing up what you did, because it's crazy that you would do something like that. And he did not want to see me, because as soon as I said no, I had to say I don't think I said I rebuke you. I started doing a Kali mantra, a Bagalamukhi mantra, which wards off evil. As soon as I did that, it stopped, and my baby looked around. She goes, and she looked at me. She goes, "What was that?" She did not like that, because, like, he literally took her from behind. The spiritual warfare that me and my family have been through is not hard to describe, but it's hard for people to hear it and process it. When you have people using their imagination. Mind you, he was not in the physical, but he was adamant he didn't. I said, no. I told him, I do not want you to take a picture of her. And this is exactly what I said. I said, do not take a picture of her, because I caught some blackmails again. I caught someone these guys taking a picture of her, and they were into bestiality. He goes, "Oh yeah," and like literally, he had his phone out and was calibrating in her direction, and I blocked his ass. But he kept it on her as we were going, and I was blocking her. I was trying blocking our path, but somehow, right, he still was able to project himself onto her. This guy had another dog that they finally discarded, like literally discarded. And that dog nobody knew that they had a dog. That dog had been raped. And I remembered looking at it, and because I could tell what had happened, because they were getting ready to do the same thing with Lala. This is before they did this same man who was, and it wasn't with when I had Lala. Lala was also sexually assaulted. And we were walking one day. Lala and I were walking, because I would take the babies, because I had two pitties now. And then I had Hazel and I had Egypt. And I had the gang stalkers trying to kill every single one of them in order to get money. And a lot of times the flying monkeys are paid by the cartel. People say, oh, it's the government. No, it's the cartel. The cartel, and you had a cartel member who was right in the Hallmark Apartments, which they changed their names. And he was an electrician or a painter, I believe. So living that double life. Full psychopath, though. And so we were walking. So I would take the girls separately, because they're pitties. They needed, and I wanted the bond. With Lala, it was really hard, because and with Hazel, it was really hard. I prayed over them, to purge, but it was the demonic energy and what had happened to them was so thick. The only thing that I could show them is that you get to eat, you get to go outside, you get to play, you get to roughhouse, and you know, and you have safety. Nobody's going to hurt you. I would spank them on the butt, and I know that, Lala and Hazel, because they had all been physically, not just sexually abused, but physically. Hazel was a rescue too. She had been taught, and these are black people who are doing this. Right? So it changed me when people start talking about civil rights and all this other kind of stuff. I'm really sick of hearing about it, and people may come for me for that. But I'm sick of hearing about it, because if you want civil rights, act civil to your soul, from your soul. That's why I said, from the ashes we rise, from the soul we lead. You got all these, African whatever the hell that you're talking about. You can't even hold down your own house. I never thought that it was possible because I know me as a Black lesbian who survived abuse, who survived being assaulted herself by multiples in and out of the family. I don't do that type of shit. Why? I don't understand. Like, I would get mad at the girls and give them a whooping, but but when it came to the point where I felt like I was losing it because of when we were homeless and everything, and they were throwing everything at us, including the kitchen sink. I mean, it was so much I had to stretch myself. Right? I'm surprised that I'm not fragmented like that. You know what I mean? But when we were walking, so anyway, when we were walking, I was walking with Lala and we were coming around and it was good. And I was nervous with her because I felt like eyes were on her. Yeah, they were. This big, again, but big, bald black guy, not the same one, different one. The other one was more morbidly obese. This one was a little bit just, stocky, and tall. When Olga saw him, and she got triggered. She was not going to wait. Oh, excuse me. I was thinking about the other abuser that I had that's human and is white and Puerto Rican. Sorry. When because Olga attacked her. So you see what I'm saying? When you're dealing with people who are toxic and cluster B personality, anything that you get, they're going to attack. And we were in a season, Phoenixes, where they were attacking with impunity because they were doing rituals over areas to conjure up those types of egregors, those types of disembodied, fragmented humans, right? Spirits that had gone on or who had, on the streets, they were tapping into that where I was. Heavy, heavy, heavy witchcraft. I was told when I moved there that they were engaged in openly, where the areas that that I had moved to, where there was child sex trafficking, mainly of Black girls. I never fathomed, and I felt so bad and so angry because, Lala wanted to leave, but I was like, let's, boss up. Because I took a good look at his ass. And he still kept barreling towards us. Still kept barreling towards us. And I remember when we got inside, Lala looked back and she was like, whew. People's like, oh, it's just a dog. No, it's not. That's I can't watch shows or anything. And TikTok is like it's like gore porn. It's trauma porn. You know, um, and I have to block those people who think it's okay because they never get flagged. It's weird. Um, but anyway, so here I'm having to defend. So that's when I remember it sticks with me because those were times, and Lala ended up dying. I mean, that's a whole nother story. And we were just a few months on the streets at that time. Actually, I think we were more than a few months on the streets because we were total on the streets, uh, living with people for about 6 months and on the streets for 2.5 years. And we didn't have to. People were making it so that we would be on the streets because they had plans for me. Me and God had other plans. And they're mad till this day. It's not stopping. I've had, oh, Jesus. Um, so when I think of my babies and my Prosperity, she's not the only one that I lost, but Prosperity was literally near and dear to my heart. Like she is my daughter. And people tried to minimize her. They were trying to make it so that I couldn't grieve her death. Like literally, like what I mean is blocking that emotion, blocking the natural flow of being angry. And I think that's what they wanted to block, was being angry and finding out who did it. That's how I knew somebody it was witchcraft. But here's the and it's hard. It's just hard because I could go on, but I'm not going to. I cried so much, so much, so much, so much. And now that we're out of that, and it's like, for the longest time I was in denial because I had her picture on my phone. And so to me, she was still there. She was just safer. She was just in a place that I didn't have to worry about. I didn't have to worry about anybody graping her. I didn't have to worry about anybody trying to set her up with these other bait dogs, or as a bait dog or whatever, having two big ass pit bulls that coming out. You know what I mean? And this is what I'm talking about, obedience, because that's what I realize is it's like, okay, my guide was like, no, don't go that way. Don't go that way. Go a different way, because they're getting ready. They're setting you up, and I could feel it. That's what I'm saying. It's hard living your life when you are under constant witchcraft and of surveillance, where people are attacking you for their own survival by a group of people who feel that your existence is a threat to them because you weren't able to they weren't able to make you feel guilt and shame for not accepting La Raza, for not accepting them as Norteños or whatever. You see what I'm saying? For not accepting the sexism, and for daring to tell one of their members' kids, don't play and throw trash in my bushes because I'm paying for the space. God forbid. God forbid, because that's literally how it started. And these people did not care. I mean, I was graped several times the way that I described prosperity, that I saw it with them do to Prosperity. And from that point on, I could not rest. Every time she jerked, I thought that they were going after her, that they were having their way with her. I had a guy from the Peachtree security guard go into a complete psychosis, break into my place and stab and attack my fur babies because the manager challenged him to do it if he wanted to keep his job. And I don't even think that it was about keeping the job. I noticed that with the manager who he didn't give me my deposit back, and he finally called once I put those papers on him, and he lied and said, "Oh, we sent it out. We sent it out on the 3rd. The 3rd of what?" And he never gave me any details, right? Like, I mean, it's so it's draining and aggravating. Now I'm angry, right? And now I'm angry. I've been angry at him, and I'd been told him a few choice words, and made my own threats. And that's why he answered once you know what I mean? He thought, oh, I can ignore it. And you had 2 months, dude. 2 months. He said, oh, well, we sent it. It wasn't cash, though. You sent it to where? And I'll tell you this, the gaslighting is real, because I had a package that there was another lady who was there. He would move leasing agents who I vibed with. Of course, narcissists don't want you, cluster B personalities, because it's the whole cocktail, don't want you having a support system, people who see what's going on. This woman saw what was going on. And, she had her own. I didn't out her in any way, shape, or form because she was a sister. She was true blue. And once he knew that he couldn't manipulate, and he would sit back and watch his staff members and the ones that he couldn't control. Like here's a Filipino, right? Filipino and Mexican, uh, uh, male manager. And he would sit back, and I caught him several times, and he would sit back watching them, and he'd be talking to himself. What? Who does that? You know? Nobody who's healthy. Nobody who's healthy does that.
So he calls me and I mean, so anyway, here's the security guard, and because he was the security guard was raping me. I was at the again, his imagination. It's your imagination. They imagined that they were having sex with my fur baby. This security guard, after he did all that, and I put him on blast, and I put him on blast with his company and everything else. And again, when you're in a demonic area, there's not going to be a win. You can use your tools of in your arsenal that I show you, of how to use it, how to gray rock, how to, listen, how to clear yourself so that you can have a stronger intuition and a stronger spirit of discernment. But if you can't be in that area because it's not conducive to you. The thing that's you're going to keep bruising their ego by your existence. And then they're going to say, "Oh, you're still here, so we're going to take something from you." So what they took was prosperity. Before they killed prosperity, the was it the year before, I believe, or maybe no, the was it? Well, one of those times, time escapes me when trauma, was involved. But one thing that they did is they stole uh they stole my talk to Neil. They stole my from my storage. They stole. So you see what I'm saying? And it wasn't, I could feel that that's what they were going to do. And to be honest with you, because I heard them talking, they were constantly planning. And it wasn't the usual suspects that I had in Sacramento. These were one that heard about me in Sacramento and were participating from San Diego to help. You know what I mean? Like it was a whole network. That's why people, when I talk, it's like I'm talking from experience. I know that's what they were like. Okay, you got to we got to shut her up. You've had ample chances to kill me. They tried so many times. They tried giving me a heart attack. They tried giving me, making me die through elevating my blood pressure. And here I am. I'm working out 7 days a week. I'm eating green vegetables, like dark green vegetables. I'm eating red cabbage and red onions raw. Don't play with me. I'm having turkey. Not doing beef very much. I'm eating out maybe once or twice a month. You see what I'm saying? I'm constantly in cardio. Was constantly doing squats. And I was just reflecting now that I have the time. Again, I ever told you guys in another podcast that, there's time. I had to hold it together when I was in San Diego when Prosperity died because I was going to go crazy. I was going to lose my sanity. It was there. It was only the grace of God that I was put together because it wasn't from me. Something had to seal me up because I had popped like a corn of a kernel of corn. I had popped. The other two, I remember just walking down and I wanted to. I had just gotten, and here I'm in this hostile environment. I know that these guys have done have are the murderers. I can't say anything, because I already know where it's going to go. You see, I already know where it's going to go. Just like the other day, he was like, "Well, I can resend your deposit check." Well, yes, of course you're going to because you don't want to have to pay me 10 G's. And not only the 10 G's, you don't want to have to explain why you had your own apartment complex burnt down or were trying to burn it down so you have people come in and then raise the rent because you knew that you couldn't legally raise the rent. You still couldn't legally raise the rent, but you know what I mean? This guy was a piece of work, man. Like I have been around sociopaths. I have been around murderers and aggressive. The whole place was filled with aggressive pedophiles. And thanks to Saul, they were allowed to do whatever they wanted to do, and they harassed women and I saw one guy was bringing this one little white girl, black guy, bringing this one little white girl. They would, and it was trigger warning, trigger warning. When because they work off of patterns. They have an MO, right? And I had that happen with in this new place, unfortunately. But then again, remember I've said it's a network, and I'm still alive. Their plan was to not only they were going to go out to unalive Hazel first, then Prosperity, and they were going to go down the line. It would leave me for last. I heard the conversation, you know? Um, but yeah, I mean, you when you're around those type of people, it's just hard. And I would so I had my new beginning, and when we got to the new place, again, like I said, it's a network, and Latina, and she did some weird stuff. Like, I didn't ask, I just got here. All I'm doing is walking my fur babies, the ones that I have left, and she's seeing some guy, right? She's talking to some dude, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And I'm just noticing that I'm repulsed by him, right? I always go off for energy. Your energy is repulsive, which lets me know that you are uh, uh, a demonic entity, because I don't throw up in my mouth. I remember the like that. And he didn't make me throw up in my mouth like one of the stalkers did. But I was like, nope. Mm-mm. So I went ahead, and then I noticed, and I was looking around, and she's sitting there cooing at my fur baby, my baby Hazel, and I'm like, and I'm just looking at her, because you've been cooing, I guess, for a minute. You're cooing at her, but you aren't talking to me, the adult, the human. No, I'm not saying that I don't value my fur babies, because I do, but the respectful thing is to talk to the mother. And she didn't. And see, this is how shit gets started. Because when you're dealing, and this is how you know that you're dealing with a cluster B personality, you know? And so immediately she took out the tactics and tools that all of the people from California that I had experienced. So she took out those tools of, okay, well, I have access to your information, so I'm going to use your information to stalk you. Because why? I got my feelings hurt because I was doing things that are abnormal, and you didn't respond in a way that made me feel comfortable. Right? So as I say, this is when I got here, right? And so and the thing with cluster B personalities is that they will always start from where they left off. That's why they hoover, because for them the loop is not closed. It's a brain thing. The loop is not closed. So she showed up, and then she tried to have the guy that she was kissing just recently um try and because, like, again, she's trying to start from the beginning. And it's like, no, I've already moved on, you know? Like, what a weirdo. And so he tried to intimidate me and whatever. And it's like, I don't care. I don't know. Because if you keep pushing me, I'm going to call ICE for the hell of it. And I mean that. Take it how you want it. Because I know I'm tired of being harassed by people that aren't loyal to where I live, where the home that my ancestors built, those who came before me, who didn't get to see the glory, who, you know what I mean? You've clogged up our bloodline. I'm cleaning it out. And you want to continue to traumatize me because you heard something, or, oh, it's disrespect to whatever group or cult or egregor. That's not how normal people work. We don't go around our day thinking about, how can I kill this person's lover? How can I how can I take this person's finances, or what ritual can I do to make this person homeless and block their love life, block their friendship, block the light of God from coming into their life, block that energy, because this person is naturally divinely chosen. So how can I cut them off from everything that they are used to, because I'm pissed off that they didn't allow me that they saw through my mask. Normal people don't go around doing that. Normal people don't do rituals to bind themselves to other people because you can't produce your own legacy because of pathological envy or jealousy. You got a whole family, but yet you're looking in my pockets trying to see what I'm doing. And especially as a black female, I mean, they love, it's like, oh, well, you deserve it anyway. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's been hard living this life. It's been very hard. So losing my baby, and I had already always told her, and here, let me stop for a minute because I know I'm going really fast. Release is not pretty, but you have to do it in order to heal. We're in our second month in this new place, me and my fur babies, and I have missed my daughter Prosperity terribly. I have been in healing mode. I have applied for a job. I have doing certifications online, but my soul is tired and I am reminded of that every day. I literally have good days and bad days that I didn't realize or let alone acknowledge before. Growth for me is acknowledging that I'm grieving. Growth for me is acknowledging that in my fascia, in my very fiber of my being, on a cellular cosmic level, I am tired. That which did not kill us made us stronger, but it also has made us tired. And it's been 15 years. Now, the anniversary of my fur baby's passing was the 20th. Her birthday was on the 17th. This morning, this morning, for the first time, I had a dream about my baby. I had her earn. I have had her earn still in the package, still in the box it was wrapped in, because I couldn't open it. I didn't want her in that film. I didn't want to see it like that. I had a dream about her. It was really quick. It was prompting me to go ahead and do this podcast to get it out. Because
I was reflecting on it and I was like, oh, I don't journal anymore. The pain has gotten too frequent and too much for me to journal. It's better just to talk it out loud. My hands can't move fast enough to write what my soul has experienced. So I thought I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna lose it. But it's like at least I thought I saw it. Because I'd asked the Most High yesterday, I said, I just pray. I said, I'm under attack. And I know that these demons have done rituals. I have somebody that is absolutely obsessed. I have several people, but you know what I mean? And it's hard. Like I had new people that came out of the woodwork. I had a dude that I don't know if he was paid. I think he was paid, but he had a fatuation of, for me. Like we were in a relationship or something. And I never knew his name, never all he'd just pop up and I would get a sense of, oh, I'm here too long, and I'd look around me and there he would be. And you know what I mean? Like stalker, incel crap. But he knew to stay away from me because I'll go to your front door. So I didn't want her. I didn't want, and was like, please don't let her spirit. I said, Lord, I have paid the cost for a lot of stuff, and she has paid the cost. I said, look, both of us combined, let there be grace. Don't let them bind her spirit to this place. Do not allow them to bind her. And I did what I could, because one thing that I found. Anyway, so I had a dream, woke up, and I haven't been able to take her out. She's still in the package. She's still in the box. Or her ashes are still in the box. Her spirit was with me. I have her picture every day and I kiss her. I kiss her every day. And it was something that happened when I was sitting there at the place because nobody would help us. It's like they blocked everything. Energetically, it was blocked with witchcraft. So don't sit here bragging about being a witch. Don't. Don't. Because the fact that you don't witch, and they weren't called witches anyway. It's a mutation of the original word. But many of you, especially used from these different countries, oh, you're immature. And what you're experiencing now, because many have called for justice, they have called for your heads. And this is just a brief channel. They've called for your heads. And what you think is not going to happen it's going to happen as slowly as you and as insidiously as you worked. Because why? It's your own energy coming back to you. Because that's the Buddhist law. In Buddhism, when you direct something towards somebody and they do not accept it as truth, it boomerangs back to you. You may be able to evade it in one timeline, realm, or dimension, but eventually it will catch up to you. So your jealousy that that the only thing that caught up to me in this life was the good that I did in the other, comparatively, you just screwed yourself again, time after time. Okay, so back to it. I'm trying to get through this as best as I can. This is why I didn't want to do it. This is why I was putting it off, and I almost deleted what I wrote. Huh.
and I'm not really reading from it, as you guys probably can tell, as I've been listening to my things, and because things are unraveling, dude. They're unraveling inside of me, right? Like at the time that when she passed, before she passed, it was during Mercury retrograde and a full moon, and these bastards did a ritual. And the ritual was somebody was sick. They didn't want to die. He died anyway. But somebody else, is still sick. So it was a group of them that come together. And when you're a powerful sage, uh, like me, when you're powerful, they they attach. They go, they've had to go after me as a group. They've had to. Um, doesn't make it right, just, common sense. So they do rituals as a group, and they bound themselves to me. One in particular, because and this time it was like really strong. Now during my whole stint in San Diego, they had been doing again. You will get them doing the same shit over and 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 over. This is how they work. This is why I say it's a cluster. It's a cocktail of demonic entities be from their fragmented, arise from the fragment of their soul that they're housing. And you have one of those cluster B personalities, characters, that can never shut off their brain. So they're always doing the same, the same, the same, the same, the same. You going after me, you're tethering, you're going after prosperity, you're going after Hazel, right? With a few new caveats, right? Where I had some guy, and it's not the first time I've had some guy, literally some guy, think that because they learned an occult practice from some Latino gang that, okay, now I can do, and I mean, that's scary. It's really scary because you do have people out there using their literal imagination to have full on relationships with you. I have somebody that attaches to me every single morning. And that was the question that I asked the Most High. I was like, is this prosperity? But as God said, no, it's not. And I asked something else, and so that was the dream that I had this morning of my baby girl. And time is been off. But that was the dream that I had this morning of my baby girl. And the reason why I got so upset and had that cry break was because, and I had the cry break before I did this, was because it was in our house. It was like I was familiar, right? I think I had to go upstairs. I was going through the rooms, and the rooms were like a whitish blue, not a blue, it was like a tint, low contrast, and a blue tint. And here's my baby girl, Prosperity, like sitting there waiting for me. She's laying down. And like she would normally do, she kind of, when she would lay down and she was rested and she felt comfortable, right? We've all heard them do that. "Hey, I'm good now. I'm good." And they do that licking and smacking, and then they go to sleep. And then one of my fur babies, and I don't know whether it was Brittany, uh, Elizabeth Adams, that that uh who passed away due to witchcraft as well. I don't know if it was her. Who could, but there was like a tent was made, and here's, and I literally put my was rubbing on her, you know, and she was warm to my touch. And I felt good. I felt loved. I felt not loved, but I felt loving. Like, like when every time I would look at her, I'd be like, oh, I love you, baby. This is we're gonna get our own place. So in the dream, I woke up to her having been rested in our place. In our place. And then one of the little ones had come to her, I guess, and they were chilling. They snuck under the covers. When we were homeless, I had made sure everybody was under the covers. That was just the way that it was, so they would not get cold. And I had about 6 layers of clothes on, Make it be blistering hot in Sacramento, and then the cold, it would be 23 degrees at night. Make it make sense.
you know? So, yeah, I woke up to her this morning in our house, rested. She was alive. She was just, and she was worn to my touch. And I reflected on all the people that I've lost. I went to a funeral of, went to a funeral of, online, thank God. And see, this is the grace of God. Because, I think that I grew up with no family after 13 and was, navigating the system. And here it was, some stranger that I didn't know, that I never talked to, that I saw this cousin, she was in pictures with my cousin, but I didn't know her, you know? And she sends me a friend request, and that friend request leads to me knowing that my cousin passed away. And my cousin truly did have a sincere big heart. Her brother, uh, total narcissist, total toxic, you know, but whatever. And she would send me birthday cards. The loss of my brother, my half brother, um, he died on Christmas. And he always tried to reach out, and he was a loving soul too, you know? And whew, and he died the same year that Prosperity had died, right after Prosperity, and he came to me. I could feel his energy signature, and I was like, "Oh my gosh." And he was showing me, and I tried talking to him. I called him. He was one of those that you couldn't he wanted to be around you, but he didn't know how to express his feelings. Nobody taught him. He grew up with a cluster B father, a sociopath, who picked him up one time and body slammed him against the wall. This boy was a toothpick, and he laughed everything off. That's how he coped. And nobody let me know that he passed. He did. After he passed, let me know that he had passed. It was January when I found out. I think it wasn't January when I found. It was a few months before, or excuse me, a few months after. So and then having these people pass, and one thing I gotta say, I miss them. I wish, and I was like, the way that people were talking about my cousin, I was like, oh my gosh. But and she did have that heart, and I could feel that. I felt that. I had nothing to say nasty against her. I know that my attitude was nasty when she was trying to help me, and I was trying to push it. Well, you guys need to pay, because I didn't understand certain things at that point in time. You know, I didn't understand at that point in time, and I was hurt because I had tried to bond, and I couldn't bond because I wouldn't play the role that the cluster B had designated for me as being the black sheep and the punching bag and the garbage can. I'm not your sin eater. But what a joy to have, what a joy to have these people that you were estranged with in life come to you before they completely cross over and let you know. They wanted me to know. And with my brother, I mean, he had nothing for love but love. It was a quiet love. And he turned out to be a real big boy with tats. And I was like, I never knew you. They kept me and that's the thing with cluster Bs too. Everybody is their possession, and even energetically, they try and keep that same uh possessiveness, right? They try and keep that same dynamic, and because they still see themselves there. These guys are fragmented, demonic human spirits in flesh. They haven't transited, they're dead inside, but they still have the ship is still mobile. The organic ship is still mobile.
you know? They might, I mean, I was a trophy of our fathers, so because he wanted to win, and then I got, but then he didn't want to treat me like like I was a loving, like he was a loving father. I was literally just a trophy, and I knew that in my teens because I was also the punching bag. He didn't hit the other kids. Like when he did, he was profusely apologetic. With me, he was just like, "Oh, that's some, black bitch." No one, we see black men, uh, I still haven't gotten to that yet. And you see black men, treated. I remember I saw a thing on TikTok where a black guy was, "Yeah, you dumb black, bitch." Da 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 da. Da. Like really? It's been hard, and I wish that I would have gotten along with them. I wish that, sometimes I mean, I felt so powerless. And I got used to feeling powerless, just like I got used to feeling embarrassed. I got used to rejection. I wasn't glossing it up or I just felt it. I'm grateful that I was able to process. I'm able to process even more now that we're out of that that spiritual cesspool environment. I but I can't say that I don't miss them. I can't say that I don't grieve my baby girl every time now I think about, cuz I don't know. I don't know if I'm ever going to open the box and take out her urn. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't want to. I can tell you that. I can tell you that. I can tell you that. When dealing with cluster B personalities, they take so much from us, especially if we have been the ones to give them severe wounds. My tears, I remember, and I think it was protection from the Most High God. Like I said, I had popped like a kernel of corn. I had popped. And I don't. It was like I was contained. The explosion was contained, and I am grateful that I have a relationship with the Most High. I am very grateful because I could have sabotaged, all my hard-earned work for on behalf of my bloodline. This isn't about ego or pride, but this is about what I was asked to do. And sometimes especially with trauma this deep, like I mean, I felt like I was not going to survive, like I was dying. After she had passed and I'd gotten her ashes, I was afraid that they were going to steal my mail, because that's what they had been doing. I- you know, all the stress, like I'm not going through a fucking enough, dude. Right? And so we have to love ourselves through what we're going through. We have to give ourselves grace. Like right now, I'm still under, the attacks are very, very, very faint. Because like I said, they do what? They're repetitious. They keep going. But I told the Most High God, I said, you know what? I have to build this coaching. I have to build for this other half of my life. I'm not going to be working for other people. because when they know or think that you're work scared, especially being black and female, when they believe that you're work scared, they're going to use it to make you a slave. And I am tired. But through my obedience and listening and just doing and opening myself up to the way you eat, the way, when God told me not to eat meat, I didn't eat meat. When I changed my eating style more, the foods that I eat more to healthier, like Japanese, Korean, Asian foods, love noodles, right? Get me some curry, because you can add noodles, curry to. I can make myself a soup to help my digestion, right? Because I have to eat hot foods. I can't really do cold foods right now, and then sometimes I don't listen. Because I'm like, I want that. I like to eat salad. Well, that salad needs to be blanched in steeping hot water, whatever, so to help your gut flow. Um, and again, that's why they put you through, so because that they know the mechanics. If they don't know, it does have a somatic uh effect on your body. Um, t- I keep visioning my baby girl at our house. That's what God said. Because I said, well, what does that mean? Finally I stopped. And I said, well, what does that mean? And he just took me through the vision again. And I felt, and it was coming from her. She's like, I'm at home. I'm home. I'm home. So, um, yeah. So yeah, it's hard because they take so much from you. They take so much from you. And if you're not processing it right, you will have a tendency, you may go get subtly back in to that web again, right? Um, which is what you don't want to happen, Phoenix. You don't want that to happen. You want, because it feels cold. I thought I was being cold, you know? I thought I was being cold. I thought I was being selfish. I thought I was being narcissistic by not grieving her, by not being able, by laughing. And that's what I was going to say too. When I was sitting there with her body, and I was so upset because I had two Latinos, male and female, who were flirting. He just rolled her body in, didn't care if I caught the table because I'm opening the door because he wanted to go and get him some pute. Not to mention they were taking time and trying to convince me that they could save her when they knew that they couldn't. They just wanted to charge me extra. And these same people wonder why you got targets on your back now. Spiritual targets on your back. You put those heat seekers on you. You did it yourself. And you're trying to tether yourself to the phoenixes, because the empaths, because you know that we're divinely protected. So you're using us as shields. And that's not going to happen. I remove you daily. I don't care how many times I got to remove you until you are gone from this realm and unable to tether yourself to me anymore. When I was sitting there, I had cried and I was talking to her. And I had prayed over her, and I felt everything felt futile, you know, because I couldn't keep my promises to her. And towards the end, we were getting so it was so frustrating, and she would sit there and cry, like literally cry, because she was like, "Why can't we go out? Why do I always have to why are you always holding, why are you restricting us? Why can't we be like we used to be? Why don't we play anymore?" Because these demons were exhausting me, and I'm working because they're telling me these are the same people who are telling me that I'm lazy. Slave massa saying I'm lazy. And I looked at her on that table, and I don't know what I was supposed to feel. Like I think I just went numb at that time. And I started laughing. And I thought, "Oh my God, I'm one of them. Like, how did this creep up on me?" I was laughing, and from that time on, I would think about her and not do what I'm doing now, what I've been doing since we got here, which is cry. Like, I was so exhausted, I was so relieved because I thought that there was something wrong with me. Now, I've had a lot of fragmented, disembodied, fragmented human spirits attaching to me, and especially in San Diego at the Peachtree Inn, because those demons were sexist demons and the like. And many of them were fantasizing about me. So they were mad about how these toxic males get about taking care of dogs. And it's like, it's none of your business. I'm not even your type, dude. I'm too fat to be your type, And for some of you, I'm too old to be your type. Um, and plus I'm the wrong you're the wrong sexual orientation, but I mean, I thought there was something wrong with me. And just me, it was that cocoon that spirit had put me in, had encased me in so that I wouldn't explode, so that I wouldn't lose my mind, so I wouldn't lose my mind until it was safe. And I've been crying ever since. Now I don't laugh when I think about prosperity, Lorraine Adams. I don't laugh. It's warm. It's a mother's cry. So I've been reflecting, and the truth is, cluster B personalities, high level toxic individuals, do not stop, as I said. Once you're on their radar, they keep coming until you're gone. And that's the kind of pressure I lived under, my fur babies lived under with me, and anybody who decided that they were going to try and help us lived under. And now, after Prosperity's anniversary of her passing and her birthday, I'm grateful that I've been given the space to grieve her, and those of my family, actual bloodline, who were loving and like me. Uh, but the grief is still attached to the memory of that warfare that took her. And I'm processing that.
I'm on Sharewell. I'm telling my story from a different place now. Thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for sharing this intimate time with me and for prosperity. Prosperity, Lorraine Adams, my daughter, my light, my companion, my best friend. You were vibrant, pristine, and full of love. I will not let the darkness that took you have the last word. Ever. You are shining. You are home. Thank you, baby girl, for being my daughter. From the ashes we rise. From the soul we lead. This one, my love, is for you.